What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shan Tynes,
What's up? What's up?
Daniel Acevedo,
How's it going, guys?
and Alfredo Nash.
Hello, coffee makers.
What's going on? Thank you for tuning in throughout the week. So Alfredo is our guest for the entire week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, he will be on the show with us. He is from the Cyber Coffee Hour, where he hosts with Dr. Joseph Burt Miller. So definitely check them out. We've had them on the show before, as well as we've done a mashup. So amazing work they're doing over there. We'll have all of the links in the description so you can check them out as well. So without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from the wallstreetjournal.com, written by Robert McMillan and Sarah Krause. And the title of this one is A Disney Worker Downloaded an AI Tool. It led to a hack that ruined his life. All right. So as much as we talk about how AI is helping us with everything that we do, it does matter where you get it from as well, right? Because the way this guy got was through GitHub. You know what I mean? So
Good. That's pretty good.
And this is the thing, folks. So like, even with that being the case, right? Like he downloaded something that wasn't necessarily secure. There were other things to where he failed a little bit in how he got, but because even though he used, and we've talked about him on the show, right? Used a password manager. Like with his password manager, he didn't implement the multi-factor authentication with it, right? So like he was just doing username and password. But once somebody's already in the house, like how are you protecting once you do that, right? Like we talk about the what do you call it? Defense in depth, right? You got to have it like it's an onion. There's different layers, right? Okay, you got past this one. Here's the one you got to deal with this one. Then here's the one you got to deal with this one, right? But unfortunately for this poor guy, they got in the house and they started ruining his life. He started getting messages on Slack, was it? I think it was Slack that he was getting the messages on where somebody was like, "Hey, I'm in there," and at first he was going to discount it, right? Like it's just like, I see these text messages I'm getting, like the tolls thing, like that's been out there in the news. Like I've been getting those, and I'm like,
better hurry up before you get fined.
Report and block. Yeah, I'm like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like I don't even do anything with it. But he got the messages, and then he kind of read a little bit more, and he was like, wait a minute, they had some specific things in there. He was like, yeah, this is definitely something that I did, that I typed out, and then he found out it was actually like a real deal. So yeah, I feel bad for this guy because it ended up costing him his job in the end, right? Like, so them getting in there and doing all these things, they started putting some stuff out there, got into his accounts, putting stuff out there that wasn't from him, and boom, that's what happened. Disney was like, nah, we can't have this, right? But Alfredo, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Hey, Shannon, you know how it is, man. I like to tee up when we start talking about the money first, but the aspect there is the defense in depth, right? How do they pop multiple layers of that password manager? Well, in my back of my brain, I say that particular password. Can I say the name? One password was already popped. They were already breached. So then you have to look at the fact that, well, if I'm using that and my credentials are already out there on the dark web, that's one less layer of defense that I have. Then the second thing is, which I really didn't like in the articles, they took advantage of the children's Roblox account as well to propagate and get more data of this particular individual's access accounts, right? So that to your point, you know, everyone, and over the years we keep hearing about security through obscurity, which I kind of offset and fight in my career. It's defense in depth, and they pop multiple layers of that security onion to work down to his data set to make what was unique about him exposed. So, and unfortunately, to your point, when you get inside of somebody's security ring like that, it can expose where he works, what activities have, what other lax controls that personal to private that he might, you know, have or have not. So that was very unfortunate. The second side of the fence was the monetary hits, like something like 200,000 or something like that of his own
and bonuses that he lost.
Yeah, his bonuses and his health insurance, right? So that's the part for me that, like, going back to the old school brain. Yeah, you know what? The job can't tell me not to have a firewall. The job can't tell me not to have a password manager, right? Two-factor off. All these things that I'm taking on as expensive goes into the job that I have to do now, especially us in cyber, right? Like those things we have to protect our homes the same way or better than we're protecting our employer. But it's unfortunate that he lost his job because of these missteps.
It's kind of weird though, because like once someone's inside your password manager, you're kind of cooked, right? It's almost impossible to stop it at that point. The thing that's a little obscure to me in this article is that, you know, he says he downloaded an AI tool. Now, I'm assuming he downloaded this to his work computer then? Then how
or
comes...
something on his network?
No, I think it was on. I think I think it was on his personal devices because when they went through his laptop, they couldn't find anything. His corporate laptop, nothing they can attribute to this breach.
Right. Okay.
But
So
they were
I think it was
messaging
personal.
him. But they were messaging him on his Slack on his company side though.
Right,
Yes.
because they were able to get through to his password manager. They had his password for logging on to everything.
We love that, right? It's that lateral movement. Like that's my
Yeah.
favorite. That's the one that keeps me up late at night.
So,
Yeah, so they
this
were
guy,
they were never in his corporate device, but they were able to jump into his Slack and they were able to jump in his DMs basically because he probably was doubling up on passwords and it was all in his password manager.
Yep.
so then this guy, I mean, he suffers from a couple of things, but his biggest glaring thing is just bad, cyber grooming.
His
Like,
hygiene.
Right.
yeah, I talk about it all the time about, how you have to keep your loved ones in your family that don't have the wherewithal in the cyber realm, kind of like, hey, use a password manager. If something smells fishy, like a text or an email, more than likely it's a phishing attempt or it's spam. Ignore it. Or I tell my mom contact me. Like he didn't have 2-factor authentication. God knows he says he had an antivirus that had to get a second one to scan, and the second one it popped. Like maybe he didn't have any antivirus on his computer. There's multiple things there, and the cherry on the top, honestly. I still feel bad for this guy, right? I'm not saying this to say, hey, we shouldn't feel bad for this guy, because losing your job, losing $200,000 and losing health insurance is like life changing. It's horrible, and I hope this
Yeah.
guy can get himself right and get back on your feet. But it just goes to show you that the low hanging fruit are there for you to implement them, so you and your family are safe, right? But the cherry on the top is like, don't go on Reddit or GitHub and be downloading links for things that you 100% sure can't tell if it's legit or not, or what this tool is. Because one simple thing like that, it almost wants me to bring out my tinfoil hat, right? Because I don't
You
know.
don't have one already? I mean, we all have
I
one in the
think-
maximum.
I it's tinfoil Tuesday. I forgot my hat. I live in the
Right,
kitchen.
He has one of
Right. Yeah, so,
Oh
He
my
does have one.
God. I have a hoodie and everything. Yeah,
so
because I
Daniel,
think
I want to pick that up really quick. So just don't judge me, right? But you want to put your family in a sandbox and scorch earth, right? Like so. The
yeah.
idea. I hope this gentleman becomes a cybersecurity, separate of the victimology and things like that. I know it's very hard. I hope he becomes a cybersecurity professional to learn some of these safeguards and guardrails, because as a professional, it's very hard to keep up with your family's devices too. If it's
Yes.
a workplace collaboration tool, who says Teams has to be on my family's laptop or my family's, in this case, Slack, right? Who says that has to be on my family's environment? And then to your point, what we learned as cyber professionals was in the hygiene separation of duties. My house network is separate from the duties that I do at work, right? So if my house network gets popped, scorch earth. And my family doesn't like it as it is, but yeah, their devices get wiped too. Their devices get blocked, because I can't imagine losing 200, because to your point, is crippling, especially in cyber, right? That's the average salary that you might see in our area as a cybersecurity professional. And he lost the equivalent, I think, in health insurance when he lost that job. So, no one wants to see that. But I honestly would encourage this gentleman to consider cybersecurity career, because that story will echo into his success in the career, right? But, it's no telling now that he's out of the job, unfortunately.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not his villain origin story, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He becomes a red teamer. He's going to become a red teamer now, right?
Right, and exact revenge for all he's lost. But all jokes aside, like, because you don't want to victimize the victim, but I think it humanizes the aspect of cyber defense. Like you have to, like you said, be careful of your loved ones. Like that is my greatest fear, right? Because typically when you work from home, they're going to issue you a device that's going to have its own security, as well as secure channels to communicate with resources back at headquarters. So usually that one is in itself segmented, not air gap, but segmented from the network, right? To a certain extent. So that's not the fear. The fear is I have a million devices in the house, right? And they're always adding new stuff. It's very hard to keep up because your family doesn't take it as seriously as you take it, right? So they have all of their phones and tablets, the family PC, which I want to burn that thing down to the ground. It's like every time I log in, it's something new. I'm like, what is this, right? Like because I'm blessed to have kids that are pretty tech savvy, who they edit videos and they watch this, and I have one who makes games, but at the same time they're more trusting of the internet. right? And of these so-called friends they've assembled, right? Like in your Roblox or your Minecraft or your Fortnite. So it's really a rogues gallery of supervillains out there that could you know be in my my backyard at any given time doing nefarious things on my network. It's very hard to keep up. Um, Even at my best, like you said, sandbox them to a certain extent, but then they're still doing stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm still finding things on the net, or I'm like, what is this? And then you come to find out it's like some IoT device that's just like, why do you have this? Who bought this for you, and what is this purpose? So it is very scary. So this could happen, to the best of us, unfortunately. So you just hope that they can't again move laterally into the corporate space and then potentially cost you your quality of life. Because if this is his fault, then he's going to feel bad, and he's going to he as the victim as well as he's the assailant in this situation when it comes to taking money from food out of his family's mouth. But what if it wasn't him? What if it was the son's Roblox account? What if it was the wife's tablet? What if it was, what I mean? Like there, it could have been a guest who stopped by and used the Wi-Fi. So it's like, well, now do you blame this person? Do you say, hey, you brought this into my house, you took this money out of my wallet? So it's a dangerous world we live in when it comes to connectivity. So it sucks, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't want to victimize them because I hate MFA. When I was in the Department of Defense, right? When I worked in the SCIF, was in Secret Departmental Information Facility, right? It's for those who are not DoD adjacent. Having to sprint out to the phone box to get the code to come back in, from the authenticator is a pain in the butt. But now, luckily, I can have my device on my desk to authenticate, so it's a lot easier. But I did have some friction when it came to MFA. Same thing with password wallets. Like I had LastPass. What happened to LastPass? The keys to the kingdom were exposed.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm constantly flipping through passwords to this day. To this day, like the meme, because I'll get a report that'll say like, hey, one of your old passwords was compromised. I'm like, man, I haven't used that since, like the 2006s. So I'm constantly having to get stronger passwords and try to change things up and diversify because so much has been lost in that breach, OPM breach. My PI is out there. You know what I mean? Like there's so many third parties have lost me and exposed. I have so much exposure. So many what do we joke about all the time? Life locks. I got life locked for the rest of my life
Yeah.
because all these breaches, right? And it really amounts to nothing. Not to say, I mean, if LifeLock wants to sponsor us, go ahead. We'll
Send
take
the check.
we'll take
Send the
that money.
mail.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I've been so overexposed that I have to be hyper vigilant versus everything, every phone call, every text, every SMS, every email. I have to overly scrutinize because my stuff has been out there, and then you add the layer, the opposite of defensive depth, of exposure that comes from the family
Right.
and
That's
all their
times that head
devices.
count. Times it's like your team, right? Your fire team. Not
Yeah,
you
that's
got me
true.
hyped up too because you become the service desk and SOC for your family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
pretty
Because
much.
they're
exactly.
not they're gonna be like, Dad, what do you mean use LastPass or Bitwarden or any other vault that doesn't get burned? They're like, why do we have to do all that? Especially if it's, oh my God, forgive me if it's the Wi-Fi password. Right. So, that's another avalip that's there that they lock you out of your own network. Right. And then the kids, to see your point, the kids' Roblox account is in the password manager. Right. So that pivot, and then wherever they got slack from is probably another database entry for his work stuff. Because look, hey, we've all done it, right? I'm not ashamed to say I've done it on multiple engagements too. But then you got to rotate all of those vaults for your family. Like how do you do? And then paranoid penguin aside and tinfoil hat on. Do you do that in the cloud, or do you manage a rig under your desk and hope to burn that rig before it gets to the cloud or comes back, right? So that's 100% received. You become the SOC for your family in password exposure. Or leak credentials is the red team finding.
Right, exactly. So it's not to scare people. Like they're again, make yourself a harder target, right? Like doing nothing makes you the softest target available, and that's where they prey the most. But if you just do anything, you just cause a friction point for the bad guy, and they'll pivot to somebody else, probably to one of your friends in this case.
So
So
that's
it's just
happened to me. That's
yeah.
happened to me on Telegram. I had my Telegram, and I'll put this out on the coffee hour as well. My friends were my incident responders, and I had no
Mhm.
clue. They were getting extra money, and I had this in the vault. So this was a lesson learned as a cybersecurity professional. these individuals are saying all kinds of mean things and racial slurs and asking my
Oh
friends
man.
for money. And they're like, "Hey, did the Russians get you?" And I'm like, "What do you?" Like, they texted me. So it was 2 off, and they texted me say, "Hey, we think your Telegram was hacked." I said, "No way." I'm looking at it. And then, oh yeah, a sign in from a virtual machine. And I said, I got.
Right.
And they became my IR team. They're like, buddy, we don't think you're asking for money all the way somewhere out in Virginia or Europe, right? I'm like, no. So you gotta, because yes, they will hit your friends up, they will hit your family, not to scare anybody, and also put it back on us as cybersecurity professionals. Hit us up when this happens, because sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we don't know our credentials are popped. Sometimes we don't know you're getting engaged because we're working, right? Or in some cases, we're playing video games too. We're trying to relax, and then here, boom goes the dynamite.
Exactly. Exactly. But definitely continue to check us out throughout the week. So again, Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesday discussion. Thursdays Ask a CISSP when I have one available. Hopefully I'll have one coming up very soon. It's on the cutting room floor. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. You'll see Alfredo for the entire week. And where can we find your content, Alfredo?
So right now you can find us on YouTube, and then all our socials is on that profile. We built it on LinkedIn, so we built the Cyber Coffee Hour on LinkedIn, so you can find us there. Buy me a coffee, buy us a coffee on Cyber Coffee Hour as well. Blue Sky, and a bunch of others. So if you go to YouTube, I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. We finally put all our socials up there. We're going to be synchronizing on LinkedIn.
Yeah, we'll copy into the description as well, so people will
Awesome.
have access to you. And where can they find you, Daniel?
On LinkedIn under my name, Daniel Acevedo.
There it is. And you can hit us up on the other side of the firewall, the other side of the FW, or ask a CISSP. Hit me a person at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on all the platforms, but LinkedIn is where I'm most accessible, where I'll reach back to you. Stay safe, stay secure.